Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are unpacking a really wild paradox. We're going to look at the rigorous physiological science of stress and put it right alongside the ancient philosophy of letting go, all to help you reclaim your well-being. Let's just dive right in, because what we're about to explore has the power to fundamentally change how you handle the absolute chaos of modern life.
So let's start with a deeply relatable irony. Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to control every single tiny detail of your life, your money, your relationships, where your career is going, the more anxious and totally dissatisfied you actually feel? We tend to grip so tightly to our lives, but doing that usually causes the exact things we want to just slip right through our fingers. It really begs the question, why does our desperate effort to control everything directly result in us losing our peace of mind?
A lot of folks completely misunderstand this idea of letting go. They think it means you're being lazy or just throwing in the towel. But think about a violinist holding their bow. If they grip that bow way too tightly, the music turns into this harsh, screeching squeak. But if they hold it too loose, you just get airy silence. The magic, that perfect state of flow, only happens when you find that trusting balance between force and passivity. Letting go isn't about doing less. It's really about doing what matters without obsessing over the outcome.
And figuring out this balance, well, it's no longer just some nice-to-have spiritual luxury. It is a literal biological necessity. That constant feeling of overwhelm isn't just in your head. Think about the sheer scale of this. By the year 2050, roughly 69% of humanity is going to be living in highly urbanized environments. And yeah, cities are great for healthcare and sanitation, but they are driving an unprecedented modern stress epidemic. The sheer volume of noise, artificial environments, and constant nonstop demands is literally overwhelming our natural biology. To really grasp just how severe this is, we can look at some fascinating research out of the Université de Lille. A recent PhD thesis by Dan Patern-Gondot confirms that our modern mix of artificial urban elements, academic pressures, and societal demands is severely deteriorating human well-being. The study specifically tracked students and found that constant exposure to all these pressures doesn't just mess with our mood, it fundamentally alters our physiological baseline. Drawing on the brilliant work of researchers Lazarus and Folkman, this Lille study redefines how we look at stress. Stress isn't just an event. It's not the looming deadline or the angry boss. Scientifically speaking, stress is a transaction. It's that absolute panic you feel when you realize you don't have the tools in your toolbox to survive the demands being thrown at you. It is the complete and total loss of predictability and control.
But hold on, we need to make a really crucial distinction here. Not all stress is the bad guy. We have to separate eustress from distress. Eustress is the good stuff. It's those butterflies you get right before giving a big speech or stepping onto the field for a game. It's stimulating. It motivates us to grow and pushes us to get better. But distress, or what researchers call toxic stress, happens when the pressure gets so extreme and unpredictable that your biological ability to adapt is completely, 100% overwhelmed. And when that toxic stress hits, it triggers a really severe biological chain reaction. Inside your brain, it hits the anterior cingulate cortex, which is your emotional regulation center. And that basically steps on the gas pedal of your amygdala. The amygdala is your brain's primal fear alarm. Suddenly, your cortisol levels are spiking, and your body's ability to just calm down is severely delayed. Psychologically, this shows up instantly as hostility, frustration, anxiety, and depression. Your body essentially gets trapped in this exhausting, endless loop of panic. So how on earth do we short-circuit that biological panic? Well, we go back to that philosophy we started with. We have to realize that furiously paddling upstream against the river of life is, frankly, useless. In fact, our own bodies prove we aren't truly in control anyway. We love to think we're the CEOs of our bodies, right? But your heart beats, your lungs breathe, and your cuts heal without you ever sending a memo or giving conscious permission. There's a much deeper wisdom at work. When you stop fighting the current and learn to let go, you actually align with that natural wisdom. Which brings us to this brilliant ancient Taoist concept called Wu Wei. Roughly translated, it means non-doing or effortless action. Now, again, this does not mean sitting on the couch doing nothing. It means taking aligned action that is in perfect harmony with the natural flow of things, rather than trying to brute force your will onto the world. Imagine trying to open a jammed door. You don't get it open by throwing your entire body against it in a frantic rage, right? You open it by pausing, finding the exact right angle, and applying just enough measured pressure.
Okay, so what does this actually look like on a random Tuesday? Letting go is actually a highly strategic action. Rather than some vague, floaty idea, it literally feels like taking a second to breathe deeply into your stomach. It plays out when you actually listen to a coworker or a partner without immediately formulating your argument to win the fight. It means allowing your frustration to just bubble up and pass without instantly trying to fix it. It's having the grace to make plans, but then adapting smoothly when those plans inevitably fall apart, because you trust in life's wider wisdom.
Think of it like being a gardener. If a gardener is out there obsessing, literally screaming at the clouds to stop raining, or physically yanking on a stem to make a plant grow faster, they're just going to be miserable. But a gardener who flourishes, they just provide care. They don't try to control the weather. We have to practice that same non-attachment to see our own lives bloom. You do your part, you tend the soil, and then you step back and just allow nature to do its thing.
And here is the absolute coolest part. That hard academic data from the Universität Lille directly backs up this ancient philosophy. The research shows that dedicated relaxation techniques, things like mindfulness, yoga, and meditation, physically calm the nervous system down. These practices actively turn down the volume on your overactive prefrontal cortex and significantly boost your parasympathetic nerve activity. That's your body's built-in rest and digest system. Science is quite literally proving that the act of letting go builds a biological shield against toxic stress. And the results are incredibly measurable. Researchers use something called the perceived stress scale to group people into low, moderate, and high stress categories. By tracking students, they found a massive positive correlation between regularly practicing these letting go techniques and a permanent reduction in toxic stress. The people doing these practices didn't just feel a tiny bit better for an hour. They statistically relocated right out of the high-stress danger zones. It proves you absolutely can train your body to stop treating the whole world like a constant threat.
But, and this is a big but, the Lil study drops a major warning here. Consistency is the whole ballgame. Doing a 10-minute meditation today feels great, sure. But to actually sustain these incredible biological upgrades over months and years, you have to fully incorporate these practices into your daily routine. You have to make a conscious, repeated choice to use non-attachment and relaxation as your primary toolkit for self-management.
The good news is, you can start this self-management right now. Actively choose to loosen your grip on just one thing today. Let go of the burning need to win that totally unwinnable argument. Release your obsession over some opportunity that's already in the rearview mirror. Drop a rigid, stubborn plan that clearly is not working for you anymore. And most importantly, just try to release the sheer terror of the unknown. Seriously, notice what happens in your own body when you finally stop fighting reality.
I really want to leave you with this one final, powerful thought. The real secret to life isn't about acquiring more control, it's about making space. If you stop fighting the current, if you can trade your anxiety for peace and your rigidity for freedom, what absolutely incredible things might the universe deliver right into your open hands? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep those hands open, and I'll catch you next time.